Tom Clothier.
Jordan McIntyre.
I'm Taylor Savage.
And I'm Donnie.
We just watched the Joystick Warriors video. So my initial reaction was, while I understand that the points they were trying to make, I disagree because it kind of felt like during the video that they tried to make it out that anybody who plays violent video games is going to be like, more violent in life or have like killer traits.
I also thought it was kind of blown out of proportion, especially when they're talking about mass shooters and how they played a majority of violent video games. Because when I was in school and everything, like my friends, like 4 out of the 5, we all played violent video games. I just think it's something that most guys do when they're growing up. So I don't think you can point that to mass shooters.
I mean, I agree with that. That just because there's a mass shooter and they played violent video games, that doesn't mean it's linked to that. I mean, they also said that it was more of a violent video games wouldn't single-handedly cause someone to be like a mass shooter, but it's definitely like a risk factor that's like intake. But I definitely thought that it kind of does desensitize you in the fact when you're looking at the perspective of war, where because I feel like people think oh, just because I played a video game, I can go join the army or go in war and it'll be fine, because they talked about how you don't feel the physical pain, or at least you just get a redo whenever you want, when you're playing those things, and it's not like that actually out there on the field, which I thought was interesting.
I like the topic. I understand that it's kind of touchy with the whole Florida shooting, and now maybe some people think that, oh, if you're a shooter, yeah, you probably played violent video games. But all 4 of us have definitely played violent video games, and I don't think any of us have ever thought about shooting up a school or hurting anyone else with a weapon. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really something new I learned, but just something I was brought more aware of is just the whole desensitization thing. I mean, they talk about, violent video games really desensitizes a person, and, it's to an extent where it's kind of true, because the more violent video games I play, the better the graphics and the more gruesome things look. It's kind of I have less reaction, but it doesn't equivalent to real life, because I'll kill a bug and feel really bad. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I was gonna go sort of off that, where they say that it lessens your empathy towards people or certain situations. But I would say, me personally, I can really identify this is a video game. It's a lot different than real life. So I'm pretty good at just separating the two.
I learned about the part where they were saying that people's views are fundamentally false and they're distorted, because people look at war and they only see the positive aspects. So they see the videos of soldiers coming home and regrouping with their families and stuff. And so
I learned was that what Taylor kind of mentioned about the younger age getting to be more involved in this. It was a surprise to hear that more kids are wanting to be involved in the military at such an early age. They don't realize what's actually going on in the war, which is kind of scary to think. You have an 8-year-old ready to just drop everything they're doing, and once they grow up, they want to be right in the military to go protect their country. But do they really know? In a game, yeah, you're gonna come back to life, but in reality, if you're going out there, you're risking your entire life. It's one and done.
Right. So on the aspect of prevention for this, I don't think stopping violent video games is the way to go with this. I think more the point is, if say your kid's playing violent video games, just to sit down and talk to them and say hey, this is virtual reality. This is not real. In this virtual world, you can do this and everything's fine. It's fun and games. But when you step out of the door and to the real life, you need to know that XYZ is wrong. You need to be a good person. No killing, no violent acts or anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say sort of the same thing, especially with kids. Is to just talk to them and let them know what's right and wrong, especially in each specific game, what they could be doing wrong, and to sort of just you could even choose what games they play, especially when they're younger. You can keep them from the more violent games. So yeah, that's how I think you can prevent it.
I agree with that also, and then I also think that it's important to like stress the fact that when you're playing like online with like the Call of Duties and stuff, that you're set into boundaries where there aren't civilians or anything. Like they're not factors in it, so you're only killing people that are also wanting to do the same thing. So in real life, that's not the way that it works. And I think that it was also important to stress like the fact that on the opposite end of the spectrum, like from desensitizing and stuff, but it also normalizes war. So I thought that that was important because we have been at war for hundreds of years. Like the whole time that I've been alive, the U.S. has been at war at least one place. So it helps like kids realize that it is happening. And
One way to prevent it is just to have parents talk to their kids beforehand, just letting them know what's going on in the video games and how they correlate to real life is very important.